nice and corny and stock, right? Sounds like ABC 7's about to kick off, maybe.
The Dan Patrick Show.
Dan Patrick Show. Well, I want to intro you, get started real quick. Owner of Taco Reho. Billy, how you doing, man?
What's up, man? I'm doing awesome.
Fantastic. Dude, love your restaurant. And I don't think there's many people, at least below the canal in Delaware, that don't know who you are. But for those that don't, can you explain the brief history of Taco Reho?
Taco Reho. We're a SoCal-inspired taqueria making its way in Lower Delaware. We've got 2 food trucks. We got a spot in Rehoboth Beach and a spot in Middletown, Delaware. We just opened 3 months ago.
Yeah, and to be clear, the two food trucks aren't the 2 locations in Middletown and Rehoboth. You got brick-and-mortars there.
Yes, yeah. So the food trucks go around. We do parties, festivals. We're actually trying to get into the woodlands this summer.
For fish.
Yeah,
I love that.
Stoked about that.
We just made a video on that, basically kind of laying Firefly to rest, we think.
You think?
Man, maybe. They did say in a tweet originally after 2022, see you in 2024, we're going to take a year off. And I think a lot of it was supposed to be around, COVID changed it a lot. Every time, I don't know if you frequent that festival, but anytime they have to evacuate, it's chaos. And I think there were some safety things there.
Interesting. Last time I was there, they evacuated in the middle of the show.
We got to stay.
Oh, did you?
We were one of the 4 people left in the entire venue.
I was so pissed because they brought you come back.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I went home. I thought that was it.
What?
Yeah.
See, I had no clue about that. And I bet a lot of people did do that.
Yeah. And then you try to get your money back. They're like, nope.
It jacks the vibe up, too.
I was like, what? This is dumb.
It jacked the vibe. And they did that right before T-Pain. And then people came back for T-Pain. And then the vibe was just like, I don't know. It was 2 hours and leave. And then, all right, come back. Concert time again. It was weird.
Yeah. And I think Firefly was getting a little tired. I think that's why we took a break. Yeah.
11 concerts, 11 festivals?
I'm not sure what the number was, but I just felt like every year you come back, it was kind of just the same thing. Whereas I've experienced with Coachellas when I lived on the West Coast.
Nice.
I've been to 6 of those.
Who I believe owns the AGE group, the entertainment?
Yeah.
AEG.
AEG, yeah.
Yeah, bought out Red Frog.
Right.
And now owns it. I think the majority of Firefly, or in whole.
I believe so.
Got it. There were conspiracy theories that they weren't going to bring it back because they didn't want competition for Coachella, but to me that doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't make any sense. They're totally different times of the year.
And Coachella's much bigger, right?
Yeah.
Similar?
I mean, it's pretty similar.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just Coachella's just the OG. I would say what's missing from Firefly is all the sort of the art installations and sort of the cool vibe that you get at a Coachella. And it's hard to compete. It's in the middle of a desert, Palm Springs area, and it's just like the sunsets are just magnificent with the palm trees, and the weather's perfect, and it's just such a cool. And you got the whole LA vibe coming out, and everybody's just dressed up, looking awesome, fun stuff.
Ever been to Burning Man?
No, bucket lists. Did you hear about Burning Man this year?
I heard it was wild.
Well, there was monsoons. It rained, so people were.
Oh yeah.
They had to kind of cancel it in a way.
I think I saw some videos of people talking about that.
Yeah, it was cool. I saw a video of who was it? The comedian he took a David Chappelle was in the back of a pickup truck.
Was he supposed to be out there?
He was just there just partying.
Oh really?
Yeah.
I didn't take Dave Chappelle for a Burning Man guy.
Well, man, everyone does the Burning Man out there.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, I do. I think from what I understand about Burning Man is it's like there's something for everybody. There's a lot of little subsections of the festival.
I'm sure.
You want to get there and be real hippie, go be real hippie. You want to be a rockhead, go be a rockhead.
If you're there, man, you're into
be in the desert and meditate. You can do that too.
Yeah, it's a unique world out there that for
Sean, can you bring up any clips of Burning Man? I'd love it because it's like Coachella where it's out in the middle of the desert, I think.
Yeah. It's I think Black Rock is the name of the park that it's in. And what a cool thing! Another interesting fact: no money is exchanged out there.
What do you mean? Like they don't do any cash?
There's no cash. You've got to bring everything. Everything comes in.
Oh, so there's no vendors.
There's no vendors. There's no selling. You trade
BYOB and you
trade. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah. So what do you got?
That's dope. And probably by day 3, how many days is it usually?
It's like the Labor Day weekend.
Labor Day weekend.
Yeah,
got it. I know there was one video. It'd be interesting if you could find it. The local Army installation or Air Force installation was flying jets, and we're flying them really low over them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're like.
Oh, that's wild.
Yeah, or at least there's a video of them talking about it.
I've done electric daisy carnivals before in Las Vegas.
Okay.
That's the world's largest rave electric festival.
Where's that again?
That's in the middle of the Las Vegas Speedway.
Like the NASCAR track.
NASCAR track.
Nice.
So they have this festival, and it's like over 100,000 people come.
Yeah, because that's a big area in the middle of that.
Yeah,
track.
yeah, it's huge. But it's right next to an Air Force base. So jets are flying over in that thing all weekend, which is totally wild to see these.
And you've been to that one?
F-14s. Yeah, I've catered that. I think 3 or 4 summers I did that. And
they look like they're literally in the, like you
this
said,
is
Black Rock
this is
Desert.
this year. Yeah,
Oh,
this is after it
man.
rained.
Did they make that with mud? Can you make that full screen? Yeah. Oh my God.
So that's normally there's like dry as a bone.
Yeah, this is muddy as all get. I mean, people look like they're losing their shoes in that mud.
Something that'll go down in the history books.
Burning Man organizers say the event is about radical self-reliance. It draws
Mountains
artists,
are beautiful.
celebrities, and influencers. A temporary city is built in the dry, dusty desert chosen for its harsh conditions.
What does that mean, temporary city?
Now, though, it's transformed.
Like everything comes in. I mean, there's nothing there
You do think of that
beforehand,
as
and
a
then
dry, dusty area. We do get rain up there, but it was just the amount of rain that occurred during that period that was pretty abnormal.
The area got 2 to 3 months worth of rain in just 24 hours.
Oh my goodness.
Problems of it on my feet. I've been
Oh, those were shoes. Oh man.
2002. And
I love that the earth is just casually in the background.
those huge balls behind.
Yeah, just giant planets.
While no vehicles are allowed to leave the site, some have attempted it anyway. Most,
Oh,
though,
they're
are
not even allowed to
sheltering in
leave.
place.
So we'll get
stuck.
Organizers
They couldn't,
say
yeah.
have enough food and water, but are asking people to ration their supplies. The local sheriff's office. is
Damn, a festival
investigating
turns
the
into
death of the
survival.
festival, but
Yeah.
won't say it
It's
was
like it's not
weather-related.
a level of fire
As
festival.
the rain fell,
You get-
meters-long trek down the highway on foot.
That one was
hoping for a
crazy.
lift.
So
Like the DJ
going into so you frequented the food industry, but got in kind of happenstance into the music industry from food.
Yeah. I was cooking in San Francisco. I was a corporate chef for the Gap Incorporated. So they're
Gap Apparel.
Gap Apparel, Old Navy, they own that.
Okay.
So I was working this badass building on 2 Folsom, right on the bay. It housed North America's largest modern art collection inside this building that I worked at.
Okay.
So it was wild. And it was just, I cooked for the staff inside, about 500 people for lunch
Whoa.
every day.
Okay.
And I was just
So this is like the corporate building.
corporate building.
Got
Yeah. In San Francisco, when San Fran was awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, I hear it is awesome. It isn't awesome. Depends who you talk to, where you're at. But it's definitely, they have a big homeless problem out there.
Except when China comes to town, and then they clean it all up. But we won't get into that. But yeah, keep going on that.
And I was just like, is this what I want to do or not? And my sister, she's a costume designer in LA, and she went on tour with Christina Aguilera in Europe as her wardrobe person. And she's out there, and she's like, Billy, there's these like cooks that travel with the band on a bus, and they set up a kitchen everywhere they go, and they cook for the crew and Christina, and it's just like a job. I'm like, what? you can do that? Like, okay. And I'm living in San Francisco. I'm going to tons of shows. The live music scene out there is huge. Tons of Primus, Tool, Metallica. They're all from there, and they're just playing there all the time. And so she gets me a number, call this guy, calls this guy. And I get this number, and a few months go down the road, get in contact with this guy. His name's Chris Mitchell. He's a Kiwi from New Zealand, and he has this company called the Culinary Underground. And they go around with bands in America and tour with them and cook food and make everybody happy.
That's a badass name.
So I call him up, and we talked for like 3 hours.
Really?
Like we just hit it off. It was really hard to understand. He's a Kiwi, and I talked about fast. Like, what the hell? You speak in English, but I can barely understand what you're saying. I was supposed to go. He's like, all right, let's come down and try you out. So I came down to LA, and I opened up the Staples Center when that was built, and I cooked for the Dixie Chicks opened, and the Eagles were the headliner.
Don't tell my pops about that,
Bro.
Yeah.
It was like, okay. I was like, and I'm working 14-hour days in this tent right next to this this huge building that just got built, and they're building another. The Ritz was like right behind us on this other thing, and just cooking in the middle of like the city,
in LA,
outside,
right?
just being like, what is going on here? And then they threw me straight into it, and I was in a private dressing room, or like this little room with a little setup, cooking shrimp scampi for Don Henley. And his family. Like, I was like, what the hell is this? What am I doing right now? And that's kind of how I got my feet wet. And then off I went. And then about 6 months later, I had my first tour, which was, I always laugh when I say this because it was supposed to be The Police. And I was just like, yeah, The Police. That's badass. Hell yeah. And they got canceled. And I was like, fuck. And then,
no, you fucking right. You got it. What ended up canceling the tour?
I don't even remember. They were probably infighting. Tours get canceled all the time too. Just so you know, that's a thing. But I ended up doing the initial Jonas Brothers tour.
Whoa.
Which was like,
nice.
I was like, Joe Bros? I was like, I'm not in a boy band, whatever. But it was crazy because they were like the hottest band in the world at that time. I cooked for Taylor Swift back then. She was dating Joe Jonas. She would fly in her helicopter. They would come in, and I would I was like their private chef or whatever. I would make them peanut butter and jelly with the crust cut off.
Wait, they had keep going, but they had a private chef, and they wanted a peanut butter and jelly?
With the cut. Well, I was like, I would cook just for them. Like, that was my job. Like, I spent 2 hours a day prepping, making these perfect peanut butter and jellies and triangles. I made them California rolls, and this thing I created called Goldfingers, which were chicken fingers coated in goldfish, the snacks, the little cheddar things. And so those three things I made every time they would, like around 3 o'clock for their little snack, and a crudité plate, which is celery, carrots, and all that stuff that every rider for every dressing room has it on there, and no one ever eats it. It's like, you make this thing, it's beautiful, it takes all day to make, and then you put it out there, and no one touches it, and you got to throw it away. It's just like, but that's part of the gig.
Are artists like that, like, do you end up gaining any type of, like, I think about like the Jonas Brothers and Taylor Swift actually both kind of equally had kind of a resurgence now as we sit today.
Yeah, well, I guess, he got divorced from that chick from Game of Thrones.
I don't even know.
I
didn't even know a Jonas brother dated Taylor Swift at any point, because now Taylor Swift's dating life is a very hot topic.
Well, apparently she wrote a song about their breakup. Like, he broke up with her via text message, apparently. And so one of her hits, I don't know the exactitude of this, but
listen,
definitely was a thing. And it's just funny to see it full circle, like, Taylor Swift's and her dating, whoever she's dating, especially now with Travis Kelce and that whole thing. And I was just listening on the radio about that and like how people are over that. But the NFL is like swimming in money from it. It's brought all these new fans to the NFL. Like,
it's so interesting. The
like,
26-year-old blonde girl who couldn't care less about sports is now actively engaging on YouTube on a sports podcast video. Like, and there's forums for Taylor Swift fans talking about, hey, when's the next game? What section are we going for?
And then like how it's all connected, as well as Travis's brother Jason Kelce plays for the Eagles. Taylor is from Philadelphia, and it's like this thing. Like, is she ever going to wear like an Eagles jersey? But she has in the past.
She has in the past,
but she's definitely gone all red now, which I can understand.
Gotta support your man.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just funny how and Travis and Jason have the #1 podcast in America.
Did you see Jason support his man in the last game?
Oh yeah, he took his shirt off and he's just like broing out,
drinking Busch Light, like this multi-millionaire, like his brother's the most popular tight end on the planet, just drinking a Busch Light.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Right next to, and he knew exactly where he was, sitting right behind Taylor. You know you're going to be right on camera.
Yeah.
So, do you gain? I'm sure every artist is a little different. I'm sure some just give me my food and let me get back into my camper, and then some probably stick around and talk a little bit.
Yeah, most of them are pretty friendly. It's they're super respectful. They understand the amount of money that's being spent to put on these productions. They got to be on their game. Some are a little more reclusive, as far like, say, Jay-Z. One of my favorite stories is I've done 2 Jay-Z tours, and cooking for him, and his wife Beyonce would show up.
Queen Bee.
And we called her B. She called me B. And
whoa, you got a nickname from
B,
Beyonce?
yeah,
Okay.
dude. And she would come up, drive up in her Malbec, which is like one of the coolest cars ever.
Yeah.
And our kitchens are usually by the entranceways of these huge stadiums. So we come in, and she parked next to our kitchen, and she had this thing for turkey bacon back then. So my job was, when she would show up, you know, we're all radioed up. We all know when she's going to come. I would cook like 4 trays of turkey bacon, and I would pick out like the 10 best pieces, like the perfect, like everything is, and I put them on a little tray, and then she'd come in, and, you know, she is like one of the most beautiful women you've ever seen in your life, person. Like, you're just like, whoa.
It has to be unreal.
Dude, and she's got the high heels, the Milanos, and
Sure.
it's just like out of sight. And she'd come, she's like, "Hey, B," and I'd be like, "What's up, B?" And I would have my little tray of 10 perfectly cooked pieces of turkey bacon, some napkins. She'd grab a napkin. Her nails were looking, you know, perfect. She'd grab 2-3 pieces of bacon. She'd always try to take a little bite. She'd like, "Ooh, just what I wanted." And she would take 3 or 4. That was it. And then off she'd go to her dressing room and hang out with her husband. And I always thought that was super cool. And they had one of the coolest dressing rooms as well. All white piping drapes, white couches, white rugs. Everything was white except one black and white. And there was a black and white, and there was one photograph in the corner next between the couches. And it was a picture of Barack Obama and Jay-Z hanging out. Like, and I was just like, damn, this guy is baller.
So is the dressing room on tours like that, that's a traveling dressing room, correct?
Well,
or do they have to remake it every time they
It
get
gets
through?
remade.
Are you kidding?
Yeah, there's people, that's their job.
So there's a guy whose job, or a group that's their job, to take the white dressing room and remake it in the next
exactly.
place.
That's what they do.
Holy cow.
Oh, dude, that's like, it's called like dressing rooms, and there's like 1 to 2 people. That's their job.
Is that Jay-Z level tour, or is everybody?
Oh, that's everybody. Now, every artist
has preferences.
Yeah, some don't give a shit. Like Blink-182, they're like whatever. They pretty much lived on their bus, and that was actually one of my most fun bands to tour with.
Yeah,
and to cook for. All they wanted for their after show food, which most bands after you get it done, they're starving. A lot of them don't eat a lot before the performance because they just want to be, you know, just nothing affecting them. But afterwards, they're hungry. But the Blink-182, they wanted bean and cheese burritos. That's it. So I have a flour tortilla, some refried beans, some cheddar cheese. I wrap that bad boy up, put it in a little container, go on their tour bus, and like wait for the last song. And then like I hit the microwave, just microwave that sucker, 3 minutes, ding, take it out, put it on the table. I'm done for the day.
Most expensive bean and cheese burritos probably ever made, right?
Yeah. We always laughed every time. I can't believe we're doing this. And then you got like other extremes, like New Kids on the Block.
Okay. When are you touring with them?
I toured with them like 2009.
Okay.
They were...
So they're newish kids on the block at this point.
No, they were old kids on the block.
Yeah. I was trying to be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, they were wild. They were a lot of fun. That was a fun... Who was on... I think Lady Gaga opened for them.
Wait,
tour.
Lady Gaga opened for them?
Yeah.
In 2009?
Yeah.
Is she? I know she got this. I know Just Dance was her first opener with Akon's label. Was that 2008?
It could be off by a year. It could be 8, 7. Yeah, it was, somewhere in there. Yeah.
New Kids on the Block opening, or no, Lady Gaga opening for New Kids on the Block in their old phase is very interesting.
Dude, we used to like watch her. We're like, she had like 2 backup dancers then.
Yeah.
And like 1 little prop and just go into a track, no band. And we're like, what is this like we're listening to? Like, we were just kind of like, because you always make fun of the openers. Like, I mean, you don't make fun of them, but they're not the opener.
Yeah, yeah.
And sometimes they make it, sometimes they don't. What always I'll remember was the fans that would come to the show would come for Lady Gaga. Like, the beginning of it was packed, and they were just into it. We're like, what are these people doing? Like, I mean, what am I missing here? And then you know, a year later, she blows up. And
was there anything like? Did you hear a Lady Gaga and immediately think, "Whoa, she's different than most of the openers I've heard"?
Yeah. That's what I was trying to get at. And then just meeting her when she came in, did catering. She's like, "Hi, I'm Gaga," and we hang out because she was an opener. She wasn't that big yet, and definitely the openers are way more approachable. And more talkative. They haven't hit that superstar status yet where they're like, leave me alone.
I've had friends that have met her that said even in her, past few years superstar status, she's still a super, super down to earth,
Totally
cool person.
Totally.
She was that way back then. I assume.
You know who the most down to earth, coolest person is?
In the music industry,
Yeah.
who's that?
Michael Bublé.
Yes, I love that.
Dude, the boobster, man.
Dude. I love that Michael Bublé is cool as hell.
Yeah, I did like 4 tours with him.
Yeah.
He's just the man.
That is the man.
He's
Absolutely.
a badass ping pong player.
No way.
No one could beat him on tour.
What?
Yeah, he played ping pong before dinner every day. And
See, that was my Afghanistan habit, and I would play like 3 times a day, and I'd
Nice.
play until I lost, and usually I had to leave. So, man, that's awesome. So, what else? What brings you back to a tour, though, other than just being a great cook, probably decent to hang out with, probably don't get in the way? Those are probably some of the qualities you're looking
absolutely. Yeah, you're not a nuisance. You can disappear when necessary.
for. Yeah, because the tour's about them.
Yeah. It's a yes sir sort of situation. Whatever they want, you're getting it.
Sure.
And you just got to be cool, and you got to make good food and be on time with it. There's no late in catering.
Do you mind sharing? And if you got to share it in code, you can. But who is like the worst person to work with?
I don't. This.
Is there a long list? Or are you trying to think of
There's
one?
only like one dude who's called Gene Simmons.
Gene Simmons.
Don't come get me, Gene. The singer Kiss.
He's an active listener of our podcast.
He's like, where is this?
He listens in live makeup too.
Yeah, Gene was interesting.
Okay.
So dinner served at 5.
So was this the whole Kiss, just to go into, or are you
No, this is
on
like
tour
Kiss.
with Kiss?
On tour with Kiss.
Is this like their peak, like, or
No, this is like
because you're in the 2000s?
yeah.
But they're
so-
still going all out, rock and roll all night.
This is
They're
like
doing
their
the whole deal.
20th. Last. This is who knows how many
20th
tours.
last tour.
Yeah.
Have they done another one since this one you did?
They did, and I think they're getting ready to do another, like
for them.
the final.
Good for them.
Hey, why not?
They have to be getting up there.
They're like one of the most like marketed bands of all time. Like,
Sure.
Like they're a band who bought into their brand
Oh my God,
and,
yeah.
and monopolized that into, you can get a Kiss anything.
Yeah.
There's a whole store in Vegas that's just devoted to Kiss.
Yeah, so it makes me wonder why they continue to tour. But when I watch, like, for example, Queen, who I think is touring with Lambert, who does a pretty good justice to a Freddie Mercury type voice if anybody could. When I watch them in comparison to watching like stuff like when they were at, Live Aid, just like, all right, this is a completely different band. But you look at Kiss and it's like, okay, because they're wearing the wigs, because they're wearing the makeup, because it feels like they can almost kind of not have that effect when you're watching them because they still kind of look like they looked. But Gene wasn't the coolest dude.
Well, he was kind of a dick because dinner served at 5. Everyone's got a schedule. The shows start 7:30, so all the crew's got to eat. No one could eat until Gene was the first one to go through the buffet line. So everything was perfect. Everything has been touched.
Was that a Gene rule?
That was like his thing. He just wanted. He was exercising his right as the rock star, the principal, as we call him, to no one's eating unless. And then eventually, this stopped because he'd be 15 minutes late. He'd be 20 minutes late, 30 minutes late. Everybody's starving. It's time to eat. No one's eating. Food's getting cold. It's just like, what's going on, bro? So to me,
you guys would have to sit there and wait.
yeah, it would throw off the whole crew. Everybody needs to eat. Everyone's hungry. Because one of the things, but when you're touring, is the reason we're there is you can't really leave the building. Things can happen. Things happen bad outside the building. When you're inside that building, it's a cocoon. You're safe. Everything is controlled. So it's a very important part of touring is having those meals available.
Would you do it again? If you were given the right opportunity with the right band, like, hey, you want to give it a ride with us?
I probably could.
Yeah.
I could do like a 2-month, 3-month tour. After 3 months, it starts to get definitely tired.
Sure.
That's about the longest you want to go.
It seems like bigger artists, I mean, Taylor's not a good example of this, but it seems like a lot of bigger artists are kind of consolidating their tours into, it's a shorter period of time, but they're performing like every other day.
Some do that. Like Blink-182 was like that. Those are tough. Jonas Brothers were like that. They would do like 4 or 5 shows a week.
I think they're still doing that now, but they're still young. But
Well, yeah, that's a crazy work schedule.
Also, my wife would kill me if I didn't ask. Are they cool?
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They seem like
totally.
decent people.
Yeah, like I said, every band, every artist I've worked for is been pretty awesome.
Heard. Well, next time they FaceTime you to say what's up.
Hey, let's call them right now.
I'm sure. So back on to what's happening now. Taco Reho is a brand that's if you don't know it, you're probably not from at least Lower Delaware.
Right.
Y'all had the truck outside of Big Chill Surf Cantina.
Yep.
Big Chill Cantina. Love that spot.
Best bar in Delaware.
Super great little spot. If you're not looking for food, just a good drink. And what I loved about it is I could go there looking for food is because I could walk right out and go to y'all.
Yep.
Then it came in a burger spot. You guys left. You got a brick and mortar. How was that transfer? Because I feel like there's a lot of people who can cook food that have a dream of having a food truck. And there's a lot of people that have a food truck that have a dream of owning a restaurant. And a lot of people who have those dreams don't anticipate the logistical efforts to go into making those big shifts, those big jumps happen. Like you said, we talked about a little bit before. You go from I'm managing myself and 3 or 4 other people that are working in a consolidated vehicle to now you're working shifts and schedules for now multiple locations for 10, 20, 80 people. How's that change been? And would you do it again as your brand?
Tons of organization, planning, training. Those 3 things.
Organization, planning,
Just
and training.
you just gotta, and it's constant. You can't assume things that you've taught something one way one time that it's gonna be that way. It's constant training. That's a buzzword we're using a lot right these days. Is we train our employees in the beginning. Okay, you know how to do your job. Okay, off you go. Well, you need to revisit that. It's like going to the gym. Like you're training your body. You can't just do it once and then you're good to go. You got to constantly reinvigorate that training. So that's something that we're doing a lot. And you asked, would I ever do it again? Absolutely. Would I do it a little bit differently? Sure, as we all would. Hindsight 2020.
Is there anything right like that as it sits, when people think about Taco Reho that you haven't shared that are maybe part of the vision for the brand that you anticipate for the next 3, 4, 5 years?
I have a pretty aggressive growth strategy. We're trying to get to 10 stores in the next 3 to 5 years. We're looking to go up the East Coast, DC area, Philly, Baltimore, Annapolis, maybe Newark. And we're just slowly, working our way out. And so that's one thing. And just bring in the fresh factor to it all. One thing a lot of people don't know, we make our tortillas fresh from scratch every day. And we do it like the hard way. We're bringing in organic heirloom corn from Mexico. We're boiling it, cooking it. It's called nixtamalization. We're grinding that corn, which creates the masa. And then we have a custom tortilla oven, which we put the masa in and then prints out our 5-inch tortillas. And, this process takes 12 to 24 hours. The corn takes 8 to 12 hours to cook. You boil it and then you let it sit for like 10 hours. And then the grinding, and it's an ongoing process. And at the end of the day, what we have though is the best tortilla you're going to get on the East Coast, and we're really proud of that. And that's something I'm really trying to educate the public. That's one of the things we do. Plus, we scratch make everything else in our kitchen. All of our braises, our chicken, our beef, our pork. We make all that in house. So the love is there.
Do you anticipate difficulty in scaling that? Because I think it's funny, by the way, you said DC, Baltimore, Annapolis, and maybe Newark. Just throwing in a tiny little nod to Newark. Maybe Newark, just for funsies.
It's up the street.
Do you feel like there's going to be a struggle in sourcing ingredients when you start spreading to these locations that aren't Southern Delaware?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
The toughest part is the labor side of all that.
Heard.
Getting enough people. Thankfully, with the pandemic behind us, we definitely had a hard time a little bit during that period. People didn't want to work then. It was, we all had a 2-year snow days. Felt like
a couple checks mixed in too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not personally. I kind of loved it. I can be a homebody, and actually, our business thrived during that time because we were still a food truck, and people wanted to be outside. And so where were we? We're outside. So we were busy as hell during that time.
Where's the food truck business move in with all that? Is that still grow alongside of the brick and mortars?
Absolutely.
Okay, I didn't know if that faded out as brick and mortars scale.
No, if not, we're getting even busier. Because before we had our spot, and we could do gigs. But when you would go do a gig, now you're not in your spot. So people come to get their tacos. They drive 2 hours to come see you. You're not there. Tons of hate mail during those years. So like, where's my food truck? We're like, sorry, we're trying our best. We can't be at 2 places at once. And now we got our spot. Ain't going anywhere. And now we can go do a lot more gigs. So people love to book our truck for their parties and their festivals and their benefits.
Weddings.
Weddings are huge. After late night for the wedding, pre-rehearsals. You name the gig, we've probably done it. We got one coming up this Friday and Saturday down in Ocean View, Delaware. It's the Fire and Ice Festival.
Nice. What's that going to be?
They make all these ice sculptures.
No way.
Yeah. It's for 2 days. And
just outside of Bethany.
Yeah. It's wild. There's like 5,000 people attend. We're gonna be one of 3 food trucks, so we're gonna be really busy. But an interesting fact about that: this is the 7th year in a row the temperature has broken the record for being the warmest during the dates of that festival. So, like, what is the temperature right now? It's like 60 something.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure ice freezes at 32 degrees Fahrenheit.
I think you're correct.
So I don't know how this ice festival is going to go down.
What do they get? Just like a giant block of ice?
Yeah.
And then here's a knife, here's some fire. Do something with it?
Or here's a chainsaw, depending
That's
on
incredible.
how big the ice sculptures are.
I got a good friend. I won't toss his name out there. I don't know if he wants me to, but is incredible with wood carving with a chainsaw.
Oh, wow.
And like make sculptures. He made something that the president bought and had at the White House for a bit. It was an eagle with American flag.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the last red president we had.
Nice.
Maybe our next.
Oh my God.
Isn't that crazy? Isn't that a wild thing? We don't have to talk politics, but I just think it's wild that the guy who loses the popular vote doesn't get in, and then he does get in, and then he gets told to leave, and then this guy's now here, which I don't think anyone's a huge fan of either. And then they're like, "Hey, come back."
Yeah.
It's
But
weird.
And don't worry about, you got a court date today. Yeah, that's okay. You can still run for president.
Isn't that wild? Which I understand. Hey, you got to get found guilty before we can tell you not to. But man, there's a lot lined up, and it's just like, you must have a busy, stressful life. Why do you want to do this?
Yeah.
Either way, we don't have to get.
Is that a Cheeto on your desk there?
Yeah, I think it's a 3D printed Cheeto, actually.
Oh, wow.
Weren't you saying, Sean, for some reason it's 3D printed? How did you know that?
Well, the bottom has a bunch of lines on it. You see that? Like the actual stand has a bunch of lines, like it was 3D printed.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see that going all the way up. See all the layers?
Yeah, the Cheeto might be real. I don't know.
I don't think it's a real Cheeto.
It just reminds me of that guy we were just talking about, the Trump.
Gene Simmons? Trump. Were we talking about Trump? I thought we weren't using names.
What is this show about?
Have you ever had, like, we talk musical artists and the cool people you met. Have you had anybody like that echelon come to the restaurant food truck?
Not yet.
Not that you know of.
I mean,
Alex Rodriguez might have popped in for a taco and left without you knowing.
I mean, Uncle Joe lives right down the street from us in Rehoboth.
He does.
I mean,
He does.
Marine One flies over all the time.
All the time.
Traffic gets messed up. I love it when they buzz down Highway 1 with the entourage. They don't do it as much as they used to, but just the amount of police escort and bomb car, all the stuff. It's
we
just
see
crazy.
it going into the Dover Air Force Base all the
I bet,
time.
yeah.
You see like it's almost like a half-mile stretch of road that they've cordoned off.
And they're going like 80 miles an hour.
Yeah, you got 2 cars way out ahead, and then like you said, it's like 8 Escalades, and then 2 more bomb squad. It's like, daggone. What do y'all? They got to plan for the worst.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it probably builds up some traffic, which leads people to think maybe I should grab a taco while I'm waiting.
I would love if you came to Taco Reho. Yo, Joe, what's up? Where have you been? Come on, try our fish tacos.
If you toss that on TikTok,
Hey,
everyone's good.
I mean, one. And the other guy I want a picture of is Dave Grohl of the Foo Fighters.
Okay.
He's got a beach house down in Dewey Beach, Delaware.
Dewey.
And
Dave
he
Grohl.
comes, he's from the DCE area originally, and he vacationed down there as a kid
Nice.
growing up. So there's always like a Dave watch in the summertime. Like
Okay.
when he usually stops at Atlantic Liquors first,
Heard.
stocks up.
Okay.
And then it's like the jungle drums just start beating and everybody's like, oh, Dave's here, and like every restaurant puts up billboards, Dave, come see us or whatever. And he's like a normal dude that eats out and talks to fans.
You just might see him pop through.
Yeah, and I just need one picture of me and him just like broing it out in front of the Taco Reho, and like I'll have 20,000 more followers on our social media.
Yeah, little Pollo's Taco out in front.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That would be wild.
There's a lot of sports figures that live down in that area. I think Cal Ripken's down there still. I think Allen Iverson's down there still.
AI, where?
AI, he's in Rehoboth.
Really?
There's a gated community.
Stop it.
Going farther, actually, it might be farther down south. It might be closer into like Dewey-ish. Huh. But like North Beach kind of.
Yeah, that's the.
Yeah, that you get back in there, you're like, whoa.
Well, yeah, those houses are like
people don't know those homes exist. And
yeah,
no. Like, whoa, this is where the big money is.
I used to be a grotto delivery pizza guy back in the day, and I would love when we get deliveries out to those houses.
Oh yeah,
and you're just like, what? Because you knew you were gonna get a fat tip too.
Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah. So I never did delivery, but what I did do that could compare to that story is I was in the Army and I did tech. I never shot a gun, never stabbed anything, never did anything military. I was a nerd. And when overseas, we had this one spot when I was working like the help desk, which, they call us when computer breaks, cell phone breaks, fix it. There was this one little sector that was the top secret base. All the people with the beards didn't wear the uniform all the time. You knew they were special because they didn't care. They're out doing real stuff. There's interrogations happening over there. And there was one time I got called over there to go fix something. Moment that phone rang. I was like, and that probably a similar feeling because it's just like, yeah, I get to go see the cool stuff.
Yeah.
So back into Taco Reho, man. Where's the we talked about the goal. We've talked about like your brand and its vision. You guys are doing it differently. How would you talk to anybody else who wants to do the same, that has a goal of saying, I want to own a restaurant one day. I want to run a food truck. Maybe I already do run a food truck, and I look at someone like a Taco Reho and I think, man, what did they do to get there? You mentioned earlier, organization, constant training, systems and procedures, probably checklists everywhere. What do you tell that person?
You got to know who you are, what your mission is, like what you're about, like what is your brand.
But go into that though, because I feel not to say you're right.
Yeah,
you're
we
right.
can get into that. Yeah,
you're right.
Absolutely.
But I feel it's said so often that it's almost discounted.
Right. Well, with us, like we're a music oriented brand.
Okay.
So,
and if you've ever been to the storefront, you wouldn't have maybe known it from the food truck, but especially if
you should know from the food truck.
I wouldn't have been able to from the outside design, sure.
Right. Yeah.
But now you go inside and you see everything and you're clearly.
Yeah. We expounded upon that.
Absolutely.
That one little graphic, and that's my ode to being a roadie. It's not necessarily like, oh, we're like the Hard Rock Cafe where there's shit all over the walls, which is cool. And you got artifacts and memorabilia, but we're like the heart and soul of like backstage. So there's the black road cases accents we have in there, which are ubiquitous backstage. Everything goes into a road case to get to A to B. The speaker wall we have, that's like sort of an homage to the Grateful Dead speaker wall. Back in the 70s, the wall of sound. And it was this ginormous, if you look at the picture of that.
Yeah, can we pull that up? Grateful Dead was
the wall of sound.
Wall of sound?
Yeah.
We'll pull that up.
It's just like this crazy ass, like cartoonish looking sound system that they would carry around in the 70s.
Did it work?
Yeah. Oh, it was like the state of the art thing back then.
Or...
Yeah, look at that thing.
Oh my gosh.
It's insane.
That's so many speakers.
Yeah.
I feel like that's well over 100 speakers. Like it may be well over 100 basses.
It's insane.
Why have that many?
Because it's the loudest. It's one louder. Like another thing. We go up to 11. I've never seen the movie Spinal Tap.
No.
What?
I've had a Spinal Tap.
Oh,
I've never
wow.
seen the movie Spinal Tap.
All right. Your homework after this is to go watch the movie Spinal Tap.
Spinal Tap.
Yeah, Rob Reiner directed it. So it's a movie. It's a spoof.
Okay.
It's a comedy.
Nice.
And it's about this band that starts off big, and they kind of go downhill.
All right.
But they keep thinking they're big, and it's fucking hilarious, dude. And so there's a scene in it where he's talking about his amps, and most amps go up to 10, 0 to 10, like turning up his volume. Well, in the movie, they go up to 11. And there's a scene where he's explaining, well, why don't you just make 10 louder? And the artist is like, well, no, it goes to 11. It's one louder. Like, and it's just this stupid scene that is, we've just run with that scene. And so all of our dials, everything goes up to 11. And it's all about like, you know, when you're doing your best, like it's a 10, you know, it's the highest score in sports. So 11 for us is like, how can we go above and beyond every single time? Like with our tortillas, our homemade food, all that stuff, our interior of our restaurants.
And that's a great example of how you're holding yourself to that level of, you know, it's almost like self-worth for a person, the value you hold to your brand.
We live our brand.
You're living it.
Yeah, it's not something like you can't fake the funk, as they say, and we don't. We are in it to win it. We wear, like, I got
Ziggy Stardust,
a Bowie shirt on. Like all our employees, like our uniform code is you wear a Taco Reho shirt or you can wear a band shirt,
like a graphic tee.
Yeah, like
nice.
If like show us who you like. I want to see your personality. Go ahead, wear that. Show me who you're about. You know, I learned so much about music, and that's another cool thing about what we're doing. Our brand, with the music being sort of as the I don't know the lead reindeer, and is we all have this in common. Like if I see you have a Bowie shirt on, I'm like, oh, dude, cool shirt, man. And then we can start talking about David Bowie.
Yeah,
right then and there.
Yeah.
That's why I love going to live music, seeing live music, going to concerts. When you're in that room with 20 people, 500 people, 1,000 people, 50,000 people, you have something in common with everybody in that room. You can immediately start talking to anybody in there, and they're going to talk to you back. You're all there for the same reason. And I love that about that part of the energy that you get from going to live shows. It just never gets old.
I had a buddy of mine who gave that a name. He said it was a controlled vibe. Anytime you get a big crowd of people, if they're all there for the same reason, a lot of times it's fun. Because like you said, you got that one connector at the very, like an anchor that you can go to.
An anchor. Dude, speaking of anchors, so in a month, I'm going on a jam cruise.
What's that?
It's a cruise ship. He's out of Miami. It goes into the Caribbean. We're going to Jamaica this year. It's about 2,600 people, 40 bands on this boat. Big bands, huge bands. And there's like 7 stages. And music starts at 12 o'clock every day, and it goes to 4 a.m. every night for 5 days.
So it's basically a music festival, but on a boat.
Yeah.
What do you do when you get to Jamaica? Does it keep going, or is it like get off?
You get off the boat, you take a big breath of air, and you maybe jump in the water.
Yeah.
And then you get back on the boat, and you get the party going again. And it is just amazing. Everybody on this boat, what was that term you were just saying? Controlled vibe.
Controlled vibe.
Yeah. It's definitely that vibe is at maxing out on control when you have that many people enjoying something that they all love.
And that's intimate. 2,600,
oh my God.
40 big bands. That's super intimate.
It's crazy. And all the artists, they're on the boat with you.
You're going to get off in Jamaica with you.
Yeah, you're going to see them. They're going to talk to you. You're going to have a drink with them. And it's just, but the coolest thing about this boat ride is everybody on the boat is cool. I never had a single bad interaction with anybody anytime there. Everyone's just like, yeah, man. Like getting on the elevators is like the most fun of the boat because everyone's just jamming there, and there's like no awkward silence rule where you have to say something to a complete stranger in front of you.
Hell yeah.
And it just creates, and in that moment, someone always does something funny. This one girl, she pulled out a little tiny flute the size of, I can't even tell you, like your pinky finger, and she played like this Billy Joel song on it in the elevator. We're like, what is this? Like, who are you? And then you're your friend after that. You're like, dude, like,
yeah, you walk by her later, like, oh, it's a tiny flute girl.
Yeah. And so people give like things to each other, like nice little stickers. People put up nice notes of like positivity, encouragement, like you're the best.
That's a great example of a controlled vibe. And whoever put together that cruise, sticking to a very strict doctrine of who they were trying to attract.
Yep.
Sometimes that involves charging more or doing whatever you got to do to get that situation where everyone there is comfortable because everyone there feels safe because they're with their people.
Yeah, and it's uncomfortable if you're not like going with the flow of everything. Like there's cost, like for instance, there's 2 costume parties a day. Themes. Like,
a day?
Yeah.
That's a lot of costumes.
Dude, it's insane. I'm a t-shirt guy, so I just throw in all my cool whatever T-shirts that go with things.
Okay.
But people go all out. Like the first night, everyone's is bedazzled, is glittered, and then there's like this year there's like your favorite TV character. There's a black and white. There's a purple party. The purple party is gonna be a Prince tribute thing. It starts at 1:30 in the morning, goes till 3 a.m. You're supposed to wear purple or whatever, and then there's gonna be a band playing all the Prince songs.
Love it.
Can't wait for that. Like that's gonna be. I love Prince. I got to cook for Prince. I did.
Whoa! Don't tell my pops. My pops is Prince and Eagles.
Oh wow.
Yeah, Prince and Eagles.
When I was in LA, he did a 22 night run at the LA Forum, and I was living the town right next to there, and called Palms, a little spot in LA. And for a month, I would go to the work 14 hours a day, and I would cook for Prince and the show and everybody that would come in and out. And Prince is a wild dude, man. He is like the most hardest working artist I've ever worked with. He would practice his band for 5-8 hours. Like, I mean, it was just insane. And he would start at like 9 at night and go all morning. Like he has crazy weird hours that he operates at. But he would do his shows, and then he would go upstairs into the Gold Room, which is like the VIP club of where the Lakers used to have. It was like in the 70s. It was like the spot. And then he would play late night there till like 5 in the morning, keeping the jam going. And I just had to be there in case he needed something or whatever the hell. He usually didn't eat that much. I don't know what he actually ate. He was one of those dudes you don't look in the eye. Like you're told, don't look Prince in the eye. But he would go in catering, and he would like hide behind the piping drape curtains and just like spy. And he's like down here, like he's like 5 foot, like he's a small guy, and that's why he always wears those high heels. Very tiny dude. But he would just like look and just make sure everybody was doing their job. And if you weren't, you were gone. Like people would just disappear all the time. So he was on top of his shit out there. And I mean, if you ever saw a Prince show live, you understand why. He's just one of the best performers we ever had. One of the
Great. I mean, I obviously didn't get the chance to see him live, but I've seen it. And
remember the Super Bowl where he pressed Purple Rain and then it started raining? Like he's like part God.
Yeah, I've heard way too many stories. I know he's a cool guy, but that's interesting. Him peering what's another interesting? Like, what's the most Prince story you have?
I mean, there's a bunch of them, but one of my favorites is we would keep a bottle of limoncello in a freezer. We bought a freezer just for this limoncello, and it would sit.
What's limoncello?
It's an Italian liqueur.
Okay.
It's like vodka that's distilled with lemon peels and sugar, and it's sweet. It's nice. But that was like his thing. And when it was time for him to leave, he'd be in his limo, which is right next to our kitchen, and the window would come down, and his arm would come out. He wouldn't say anything, but if you saw this, it was like code red, or code purple, and we would skate. We use skateboards to get around everywhere. We skate over to the freezer, open it up, get the bottle of limoncello.
Wait, you skateboarded in the kitchen?
Yeah, we skated everywhere.
What is this, like Tony Hawk's Sonic? Like
yeah, well, so backstage, it's all there's tons of walking. If you ever walk around a stadium, it's a quarter mile, huge some places, and you can either walk that or you skate. The surfaces are perfectly flat, smooth. It's like the best skating surfaces in the world. So as caterers, we're busy. I don't got time to be walking all day, so we would just skate everywhere. Yeah, and so we were called skaterers at times.
Skaters. So his arm comes out. You immediately start skating.
You skate over. You get the limoncello. You put it in his hand, and sometimes you get a thank you. Sometimes he just takes it in, and you might get a look. He just gives you like a nod. Window goes up, and there goes the car, and it's just like, wow, man, this is what's going on. I mean, and the backstage, like Whitney Houston tried to steal during one of his shows. She was playing, came on stage to play with him, and we're filling up dressing rooms, and we had my arms full of different vodka bottles and wine bottles and stuff. And Whitney comes in. She drove herself in her PT Cruiser. I'll never forget.
Wow.
I'm like, you're Whitney Houston. Why are you driving yourself here? She had some issues at the end. And she tried to come and take the bottle of vodka out of my arm. I'm like, no, you can't have this. This is going into the Prince dressing room. You can't have this. She's like, no, it's okay. Prince is a friend. I'm like, no. And it was just back and forth with fighting with Whitney Houston. I'm like, is this happening?
It's crazy that Prince was there, though, because you think Whitney Houston, any other artist, you're like, yes, Whitney, here you go. But it's Prince. It's like,
Yeah,
no,
don't fuck with Prince.
These are for Prince.
Yeah, no, you don't. He's
going to count the bottles, realize he's missing one, and then you're one of the people that disappears.
One of our favorite things was we would hope that he wouldn't like drink his. Sometimes he would open a bottle of Dom Perignon and maybe have one sip out of it and just sitting there. And then at the end of the night, you're like, whoop, nice. That's yours. Like I worked 14 hours. I think I deserve this.
Yeah, after he's gone in the limo with his lemon drink.
Yeah.
Is that what it's cracked up to be? Where I know you enjoyed it, but anybody who hears these stories, Beyonce and Prince, and I'm sure a slew of other people we haven't even gotten into. That's a demanding job, hour-wise. As you just very probably at its peak mentioned, it's sometimes a thankless job because sometimes the window just rolls up and you get a little little look.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's not a job where you get a big round of applause. But you definitely get the tongue lashing when something goes wrong. Anything backstage, right?
Yeah. There's things go wrong. You're immediately fixing it. You're covering it up. You're delaying. You're writing the problem.
Do you think so? So from the logistical side, I'd be curious to get your opinion on this. There's been artists. I think of Drake, Adele.
I toured with Drake.
You toured with Drake?
Yeah.
Which tour?
That was my last tour I did. I guess that was 2013.
Okay.
One of the craziest tours I went out.
That's the one with Nothing Was the Same tour.
I couldn't.
I think it's one with he had his head with the blue in the background.
He was Migos was the opener.
Oh, Migos was his opener. Got you. R.I.P. One of them is since passed.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Take off. So how was that? I'm sure that was a party the whole time.
It was. It was
that's my number one artist.
Oh, is it?
Cool.
I
got to sit number one or first row for his recent tour. It was all a blur. Went up to Philly.
Nice.
Incredible. My boy Pat got to go backstage.
Nice.
Yeah. So how was he? How was the experience?
The Drake shows, like as you know, you were there. Were like all the ladies are wearing their most fine outfits.
Every single one.
Every single.
That night.
Oh my god.
Every single one is out there.
Yeah. Well, that's like the funny, like the backstage parts of that. Like I can like there was like I don't know what you call them, different rooms for different levels of ladies. That there's your B's, your A's, I guess. I don't even know how you describe it because they're all beautiful. And one room would have catering, and they'd all be in there like thinking they're going to meet Drake. But that was just like the I don't know the backup, the feeder
squad.
room. Then there's the next room, which had the really nice bar, and it was like
the big leagues,
like 20 of like the hottest girls you've ever seen in your life. And I remember like hanging out in these rooms, like keeping like things stocked up and just kind of watching what's going on and just being like, whoa, like, and I would, try talk to anybody back, they're all, I'm like, trying my game on. I was a single guy and just being like, whoa, I can't believe I'm like, we're talking to these ladies and they're all hoping and Drake would come in and, whatever. Drake does Drake,
Aubrey does Aubrey.
Yeah.
But that was before the cornrows. He's crazy with it now.
Oh yeah.
It's a different game.
Wow. Well, and him and Jay-Z too. Well, Jay-Z was different, but like the same sort of scene, like the hype beforehand. It was just, everyone's just looking immaculate. And Jay-Z was cool. Like he would give us shout outs on stage. Like he does, it's part of his show is where, it was like, I see you in the 300 level wearing, you got the Timberlands on and the white shirt and the gold. I see you. And he goes around the whole thing. And then like we're on the side of the stage. Like, I see you Caters. I see you Mike. I see you Billy. I see you like, and it's just like, holy, did Jay-Z just say my name?
Say
like,
my name live on stage.
What is this? All right. So much fun.
That is.
But so you were alluding to earlier, like all these cool little tidbits of stories and stuff. Well, behind all that is the 12, 14-hour workday.
Yeah.
Where it's the grind. You're up at 6 a.m., lugging equipment, building a full kitchen, going shopping to a store, cooking breakfast, getting ready for lunch, and then cooking up dinner, cook dinner, break down your kitchen, put it all back into the truck, and then get yourself showered up. And, it depends on what you're either going to keep on. You might start partying, you might have the day off, or it might be a school night, like as we call them, and we got a gig the next day. It's like, you need to chill out, go to sleep, get in your rack, and go to bed.
From that experience, I'm sure there is stuff, but I don't want to label anything. What from that experience led to the success you've had now? Because my immediate thoughts go to, obviously, the work ethic, the keeping of a schedule, keeping disciplined with that schedule. And you got to see from the inside, as one of the cogs in the machine, how important and how effective disciplined and meticulous leadership can affect things in the big city. Because like you said, you had some artists that were more relaxed, and I'm sure more mistakes can be made that way, whereas you have a Prince where probably if one thing was missing, that person's disappeared, so thereby the whole thing probably ran flawlessly.
It's the attention to detail constantly, and seeing the amount of work it does take to put on these productions. And same thing in our restaurants, like the amount of work we do, and every from the dishwasher to the person who's cleaning the windows, like all these things affect what's going on in your restaurant. And you come to my restaurant, you see dirty windows, you're like, this place is dirty. Like, these things, you get a plate, it's like, there's smudge on my fork. Like,
there's a watermark on it, and all of a sudden, you're a dirty restaurant.
Or your food's not cooked properly, or it's not. There's so many things. It's countless, and so working backstage really sort of gave me to know what it takes to be accountable for yourself and your people all the time. And that is definitely the challenge of the gig of being a restaurateur.
What would you say if I kind of mentioned this earlier, someone listening to this thinking, man, I want to run a food truck, want to run a restaurant, maybe I already do, want to make the jump, the meticulous detail, the work ethic. But one thing I think too that you're not mentioning is it takes a lot of doing the same thing that that works day after day after day after day after day. And a lot of people want to chase shiny pennies, the next easiest dollar. And we're also in a world, like, I'm sure you've lived through more decades than I have, one or two, and seen the transition of into phones and social media, and everyone wants things quicker and faster. And they're seeing people like you, and they're thinking, wow, what a great overnight success. Exactly. It is hilarious, right? It's hilarious because you're telling me all these years and all these hours that led up to the experience and skill set you even needed to get that started. Nevertheless, what you've learned since starting it to get it to where it's at now, and are doing to get in the next 3 to 5 years to 10 different restaurants that are up and down the East Coast. That's not an overnight success.
We're going to be 10 this year.
Yeah, it's multiple decades worth of work that led to you being an overnight success.
Something like that. Yeah, it's crazy to think about it that way. Now you made me feel old. Thanks.
There's something to be said to that though, because there's a lot of places that get in and get out simply because they can't consistently keep creating the same product over and over again at a high quality.
Such a challenge.
Because like you said, if the window's dirty, you could have just lost clientele that arrived that day.
Well, even go back to what you're saying earlier, as a chef, when I was on the road or being a chef, we create things new all the time. Like, I used to pride myself, I never make a dish the same way twice. That used to be a mantra of mine. I was proud of that. And then you go into this business of you need to replicate the same thing every single day. Yeah. You have to cook the same way every single day. And that is a whole other challenge. Which you think, okay, you got the recipe, it's the same, we're just going to do it. Well, that's actually, that doesn't work that way. There's so many different variables that come into your day. The product could be not to your liking. Employee might not show up to cook the product. Employee could be having a bad day, and they're going to take out their anger on the food they're serving. And
that's not something that you can understate. And I think a lot of people listening will underthink that, but if you've showed up to your restaurant and had a taco 3 different times and it was the same, and then the 4th time it wasn't, you might immediately think, oh, this is going downhill.
Oh, yeah, that's that is something that we battle. And what you're saying earlier, we're all on our phone. We're an instant society now, and the people are like that with their reviews. If they my taco is not what I used to be, 1 star. And then you're like, whoa.
After 27 great experiences, and they never left a 5-star review.
Yeah,
we're quick to leave the 1 star.
Oh, so it drives me crazy. Sometimes. They'll 1-star you for you don't have Coke. We have Main Root sodas. I'm like, I don't like that soda. I'm like, oh my god, give me or the worst one I hate is $5 for a taco. Mexican food shouldn't cost that much, which I'm a champion of. the Latin culture in Mexico, and I hate how their cuisine is sort of like the bottom rung of a ladder. Or we look at French, I guess maybe at the top somewhere, or Italian, and it's like, why? Just how much should you pay for a taco? What's your expectation? 50 cents, $1? Like, do you know have you gone to a supermarket lately? And $5 for a taco is actually cheap, especially if you go to the West Coast, where tacos are ubiquitous. You pay $6, $7, $8. I mean, yes, there are the $1.50 mom and pop shops,
Sure,
and those tacos are great too. But it's a whole different type of taco. It's a very simple. You're just getting a tortilla, a tiny bit of meat, and then
and they're getting it from they're getting the tortillas from a wholesaler, and they're getting the cilantro out of the normal thing at Walmart, and they're not doing the things that you're taking 12, 10 hours to get the tortillas ready.
Yeah.
That's a different level.
I think of $5 for one of our tacos is a bargain.
You could steal Subway's or a slogan from back in the day because they don't have $5 footlongs anymore.
Yeah, I saw someone was bitching about that the other day. Like, what happened to Subway? Now $14 for a footlong sub. I was like, yeah. Where are you people been? Like,
inflation's nuts. And that's something as an industry. Of course, you talked about COVID being tough. You talked about people not wanting to work. Supply chains got jacked up. Suppliers got shifted around.
Labor got jacked up.
Yeah, there's a lot. It's still jacked up.
Like,
it's still jacked up.
The two costs we use in the restaurant world are food and labor. That's 60-70% of our costs. And minimum wage just went up in Delaware in January. The cost of living, I think, is now like $17.50 an hour. Dude, to pay people these rates in the fast food industry that I'm in, where it was $5 an hour less 5 years ago, it's insane. The amount of overhead you carry as a restaurateur. And so we have to be so conscious in watching these percentages, making sure we're portioning correctly, making sure we're not letting people work overtime. We have our margins are so small that if we're not constantly vigilant about these things, you're not making any money.
Yeah.
And then to make money, as part of the reason there's restaurant groups, hospitality groups. You have to have multiple restaurants, so you can get a little bit from here, a little bit from there, and hopefully you have some knockout successes. You're like, all right, this one is the breadwinner, but it's more is merrier in the restaurant world.
Yeah. You said you're a part of a hospitality
Yeah,
group?
La Vida Hospitality.
And which restaurants are involved in that one? I know there's quite a few.
We have the Crooked Hammock Brewery. There's the Big Chill Surf Cantina, which we talked about earlier, and then there's we're opening another one called the Big Chill Island House down in
where's that?
Myrtle Beach, South Carolina.
Oh, okay.
And that's right on the inner waterway. It's going to be a huge restaurant, and then the Big Chill Beach Club down the beach towards Bethany.
Okay, so it got you out toward Bethany. So
have you been to that one?
I have.
It's right over the bridge.
Right over the bridge.
Beautiful.
We've had our photos there. We had a beach day out there as a team.
Nice.
Yeah, that's a great spot. That's a great spot. Would love to go out there with our media crew and do like a promo at the spot.
Yeah, you should.
Would love to do that with Taco Reho. Would love to.
We could bring the truck down there, or the other brands are down there. The Big Chill Beach Club.
Dude, that'd be incredible.
Yeah, they would be into that for sure.
Yeah, we can do a whole promo thing, get a bunch of video of it.
And it's a great surf break as well. Maybe catch some people shredding it up a little bit.
Do people surf out on?
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's north side, south side. Yeah, totally. Like a month ago, a storm came in. There was like 10-foot waves in Ocean City.
No
it was
way.
insane. Like I was like,
Are
what?
you a surfer?
I'm not.
Used to?
But I'm a windsurfer.
Okay.
So a little bit different.
You get a little air on that.
You get some air and you can get some speed. You can get 40, 50 miles an hour if you're dialed in.
Hard water?
Oh yeah.
That means if you hit the water, it's like hitting cement.
Yes, things can get pretty hairy pretty quick. It's one of the things called pitch pulling, where you get flung forward and you land in your mast, your sail, your board.
Oh,
you get all messed up, or someone could run into you, or there's all sorts of fun little things.
You're backing up I'm a big proponent for staying on the land. I'm a big advocate for it.
Land lover.
I don't listen. It's not where I live. It's not my home. I don't want a shark crawling on the sand saying what's up. He stays in there. I'll stay out here. We're good. Either way, man, super good to have you. Where can people connect with you directly if you want them to?
You can hit us up on our social, Taco Reho, on Instagram, tacoreho.com. It's got our website. It's got our menu, pictures. If you want to book our truck for
that's a
a
big
gig, you want to have a party, you go on there. If you want to talk to me, I give people advice all the time about opening up their own food trucks or restaurants, or just like, is this something I want to do? And I always tell people, go work in a restaurant. First of all, start there. Do you like to cook? Do you like to be on your feet for 8-10 hours? And grind and work in a hot environment with a bunch of people, and then, got hot oils and sharp knives, and people don't yell anymore, thankfully. But back in the day, I've been assaulted with a hot fry pan from time to time. It's work faster. Like, why are you throwing this at me, chef? Sorry, chef, we'll work faster. But now it's we talk to each other in calm tones, and we understand. We have empathy, and it's a new world we're in, and we're excited to be part of it.
And you've created an environment too where, like you said, it can suck working in the kitchen, and it can be grueling. It can be long hours and hot oils and people all around, and you got to work together. And you've created an environment though where everybody's kind of going toward the same goal, and on the same path. And I personally believe, just from working in different places and trying to create that environment here at Loft, that's pivotal to creating a culture where you can actually enjoy what you're doing, and not just feel like you're showing up to the job every day.
That's a huge part of what we do. We crank music in the kitchen. We talk about food. We talk about music. It's a fun environment. When we're getting our butts kicked, maybe not so much fun, but that's actually is the best part of working in a restaurant. When you're super busy, time flies. You're doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
You get a lot of sense of pride, accomplishment. Like, wow, man, we just knocked out 500 lunches in an hour. Like, wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And what they say with like culture is, in sports, it's easy to have good culture when you're winning. So when you're doing that, when you're, like you said, you're doing what you're supposed to do. You're living the mission you guys are going on.
Every day.
Hell yeah. All right, dude. Appreciate you coming on, man.
Right on, man.
Thank you. We'll have you on again.
Cool. Appreciate that. Thanks.
You.